last year if you were here, but I'm going to do it again. I want everybody to stand up for a second, please. Because it was a long time ago. I don't remember if I was an AIM student or if I was a SIBI student, but at that point in time, somebody came and he had everybody stand up like this. And this is really, in this place, where my passion and my heart and my desire for ministry in China began. And it began with a man. I don't remember what he looked like. I don't remember his name. I think he was a lot older than me. But he came and had everybody stand up like this. And then we're going to have some people sit down. So I have to apologize for all of you who are going to sit down. The first group, if you're over 60 years old, I'm sorry, but you have to sit down. All right, don't look at the ladies. They want to keep their ages hidden. All right, if you're over 60, if your first language is not English, I'm sorry, but you have to sit down as well. All right? All right, one more group that needs to sit down, and this might get a lot of you. I don't know. If you do not have a 4-year university degree, also sit down. Wow. There's still some of you standing. Now, whenever somebody did this to me, I had to sit down. Okay? But it placed within me this passion to get to China, and so actually I went and got a degree because I wanted to go to China, not because I wanted a degree. Okay? But if you are standing, and if you were in this last group to stand, I want you to know that you are able to go to China and teach English in a Chinese university. Okay, you don't have to have a master's, you don't have to have a PhD, you don't have to have a degree in English, you don't have a degree in teaching. If you have a 4-year bachelor degree in anything, if your first language is English, you are qualified to teach English in a Chinese university. Go ahead and have a seat. I want to tell you a little bit more about this. Oh man, I got less than a minute. Well, you know, where do I'm only like quarter of the way through. The cool thing about what I'm telling you is this, is that not only are you qualified to teach English in a university, the Chinese government will pay you a salary. They will give you an apartment free of charge. They'll provide all of your visa needs, and they will pay you a round-trip airfare every single year you live and work in China. And each year, hundreds of students will come and sit at your feet. There's my time. Sit at your feet and listen to what you have to tell them so that you can share your love for them, your passion for them, your worldview. And that you can take opportunities like at Christmas or to share the story of the birth of Jesus, or you can take opportunities at Easter to share the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, and share your life with students who have literally never heard the good news of Jesus, not one time in their entire life. Hundreds of students every year, and you get paid to do it. I got to say one more thing, because that's not even my passion. All right? It's a passion. But you know, throughout my years of life in ministry, I've had a lot of passions. I've had a lot of passions for methodologies or strategies or ways to do things, or how can we reach more people? How can we transform lives? What can we do? Is it small groups? Is it one-on-one? Is it disciple making? What is it? And I've had lots of passions. I'm going to be honest with you. Over the past 20 years, I've had lots of passions and lots of failures and lots of failures and lots of failures. And it's not until recently that my passion has changed and my ministry has changed. And we have seen God do some really amazing things. And it's not because of me, but it's because of the passion has changed. My passion is no longer, or trying not to be, methodologies or strategies or how to reach more people. but my passion is becoming knowing Jesus. And that's it. And the more we know Jesus, the more our lives will be transformed, the more we will be a disciple, and the more it will overflow into those who have not heard.
Hope we have our slides up. Good. Indonesia, as you can see, is the fourth most populous country in the world, 258 million. It is the most populous Muslim nation with 209, and fortunately, freedom of religion is a part of their culture. There are many Christians and learners throughout Indonesia. On our 4 trips there, we have found an openness and a desire to participate. Our first activity there was a World Bible School seminar held in a hotel owned by the police, and they had 2 police stations on both ends of the hotel. It tells you that we had very open and responsive activity. Our brethren use World Bible School extensively there in the Indonesian language. They also have a radio broadcast in the Indonesian language emanating from Jakarta, the capital, and they have a lot of outreach there. The main speaker on the radio program is a man named Daniel Sitabudi. He is a World Bible School convert, and he considers Cecilia, my wife, as his primary teacher. So we have a sort of personal link to him. When we were there, we noticed that the social services were not anywhere near what we were used to in the United States. That is, if you were disabled, handicapped, neglected, or in poverty, the probability was that you were pretty much on your own. And we saw extensive evidences of that alongside the highways. Now, where is this activity? You can see the blue area, Jakarta, the capital, the largest city. Estimates range anywhere from 20 million plus. I don't know they have an accurate count. And also on the island of Nias, which is just off west, almost due west of Singapore, but it's actually in Indonesia. And what goes on there is what's called Kids of Indonesia, or KOI, is a shorthand way of saying it. This is a ministry to youngsters primarily who have been left out. They perhaps don't have a family, or if they do, it's non-functional. They are basically, from a very young age, on the street. And so this effort is to reach them and provide them something a little bit different. Now, the goal is to help the children and the poor families. The nation hears the good news through the radio program, but they see it demonstrated in things like this, the Kids of Indonesia, in which people are actually being helped and encouraged and given some things that are quite functional. This is Daniel Sitabudi, a very interesting man. He is a husband, a father. He's a teacher of English. He's a preacher. He presents on the radio program from Jakarta, and he operates now, is in essence one of the fathers at the children's home operating there in Jakarta. So he has multiple roles. If any of you students feel like you're overloaded, just remember this man. He's got all kinds of hats that he wears. What is the purpose? Well, people come from all kinds of activities and backgrounds. They come from broken homes, from absent fathers, total poverty, an abusive environment, and they come to a place of hope. And at the present time, the Kids of Indonesia, or KOI, they have 2 children's homes with about 50 children or more involved in those homes, where they receive some good training, they get nourishment, they get a sense of love and care that they're not getting out from places where they have been. And then there's a high school segment of this. Currently, there are about 80 high school students, and they are being trained in many things. There are at least 3 areas that they get vocational training in. One is tailoring, which is a very big activity in Indonesia. I've had some clothes made there. Computers, obviously, is a very big element in their world. And then motorcycle repair. They sell something in the neighborhood of 1 million motorcycles a year in Jakarta alone. So you can see there's a market for repair. And when 6 or 8 people ride on a motorcycle, after a while it does need help. The focus is to, at both of these activities, the high school and the younger age group, is to obviously give them good food so they will grow physically, teach them English as a second language because that considerably enhances their job prospects later on when they reach adulthood. And then they also operate a farm so that they grow much of their own food and do not have to rely upon the local economy. And they also have a program now to donate pigs to local farmers, which enhances their productivity and also creates a tremendously positive image for the Lord's church. One of the important things, obviously, is worship time and study time, and they are also translating a lot of the books that you and I take as just usual church literature and things which are resources for us. They are translating into Indonesian language because they are voracious readers, and so this is a very helpful time for us. On the island of Nias right now, there are 8 circuit preachers, and these circuit preachers go out each week to preach the gospel. They only have 80 congregations to minister to. So again, if you feel like you're overloaded, just remember, there's some other things going on in the world. Thank you.
While Speedy's getting his notes out, I want to talk about the work in the Philippines.
I'm usually not that kind of guy. You heard about the little boy that punched his mom one time and says, "Mom, what does it mean when the preacher looks at his watch?" She said, "Absolutely nothing." So I'm going to try to stay on time, but I want to talk to you about a mission field right in our own backyard. And SIBI has been involved in a great work in the called Focus Northeast for many years, but we have several graduates in the area now, and they are begging for workers. And so I want to share with you what a beautiful place to live, for one thing, right? According to the picture. And then if you look at the next slide, I've got the clicker. So I'll click to the next slide. There you go. Oops. This is a population of some of the cities in the Northeast, but the main thing I wanted to show here is the land of a lot of people. If you can see the number at the bottom, over 63 million people live in the Northeast of our own country. And the church is very, very weak. Very small in numbers, what I mean. Strong Christians, but weak in numbers. And so it's a great mission field right in our own backyard. I found a top 10 list of the least religious states in the United States, and 5 of those, the ones in yellow, are in the Northeast. And so I'd like to share a lot more with you, but I won't take the time. I want to introduce you to a program that's just really been underway for a year or so. I'm not exactly sure when they started, but a man named Don Meyer is the one that I visit with a lot about this Antioch initiative. We also have Doug Hamilton, who is in Pennsylvania, and he's involved with Don Meyer on this Antioch initiative. Their purpose is to plant churches in the Northeast, taking the nations back by taking Jesus to the nations. And what they're looking for are those who could come in the future to help them grow a church and mature a church. And then once they establish a congregation in a city, and then they raise them to a level where they have leadership, then the men who started the church, who might be there helping mature them, they're going to move on and plant another church. It's well organized. They've got a lot of people that are backing this new work of church planting in the Northeast. And so I just wanted to plant the seed in your mind that you would think of a mission field right in your own backyard.
Isn't it great to see so many people so eager to share? Opportunities in the Philippines. We have 4 Sunset schools. In Naga, where June and his wife come from, there's a Philippine International Bible Institute, a Sunset School. Also in Batangas, Olongapo, and Angeles City. There's Leyte Christian College, and they now have established a second new campus that I haven't been to yet. Southern Mindanao Bible College, I spoke about yesterday. Philippine Bible College in Baguio City. June, his father, and his brother have graduated from that school, and it's done a lot to train area preachers in the past. In Cebu, there's the Bible Study Center that's operated by Barry Burrell and Sherry, his wife. They've been there for over 30 years. Their children grew up there. Now their grandkids are growing up there, training people in that Bible Study Center. There's ACU, Asian Christian University. There's the World School of Evangelism that's starting up in Isabela, and we're helping to build a new Bible Study Center there. There's the Moses program, which Moses is an acronym that's something to do with mobile outreach and evangelism. There's the Rescue Training School operated by Eusebia Tanicla in Baguio, and that trains older men for ministry. There's the Manila School of Evangelism in Manila, and I have an apartment next door to that place. We often spend time with them. Ruben Imperado in Cebu area trains men in ministry. He brings guys in for 1 week a month, and they go through classes for 1 full week, then spend 3 weeks out working and come back for another week of classes. Now, those are just a few of the schools that are in the Philippines training people, so you don't need to bother going there. We've got lots going on, right? Well, here's what I thought about. If you go to the city of Manila, we don't have a lot of congregations, but if we had 1,000 congregations of 100 members apiece, you could live your entire life in Manila and never bump into a Christian. Is there a need? Absolutely so.
I only have 20 minutes left for my... I want to tell you a little bit about... Yeah, that's my family. Oh, I want to tell you a little bit about World Bible School. You've already heard, you can't hardly miss it, because it's the biggest evangelistic method being used by the Churches of Christ around the world today. About 1.5 million students active now around the world, 136 nations of the world. You would be surprised to hear what is the most nation, most taught, has more students that are active than any country in the world. USA. Can you believe that? I know. The East Coast is covered. I wish I could have brought that. My printer died today. Anyway, so many students around the world, and you can teach the gospel all the time, either on paper or online. They have also developed recently a new follow-up program that is doing so good. Thousands of people are baptized every year, and churches are planted every year around the world using World Bible School. We need follow-up ministers. We need teachers. We only have about 8,500 teachers of the Churches of Christ around the world right now, and we need that many more. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Let's Start Talking, but I don't have time. Sometimes we call it Friends Speak here in the U.S. If you're an aimer, don't leave the country without getting very familiar with it. I hope the AIM program will, in fact, train you in this. But this is Let's Start Talking is a personal Bible study in English. I do want to introduce you, though, to World English Institute, WEI, which also can be used in a personal way, but more so, you can do it on paper. We use it in Pajok, South Sudan. We are just about to start a big campaign in refugee camps using World English Institute to evangelize those people and teach them English at the same time. And that's what they want, and so they are anxious to. So this can be done by paper or on the internet as well. We also have many teachers, and so much good is being done around the world through several programs like this. Thank God for this great work. Please invest in these kinds of things and get familiar with these kinds of things, because you can use these in your own ministry. World Bible School can do a campaign in your zip code. And you'd be surprised how cheap it is to do. So put these good things to good use.
That's how you make bread in India. Now everyone wants to go to India, right? I don't need to say anything else. First picture up, obviously I have no time left, but the work in India is about 50 years old. It's one of the oldest works associated with the Sunset Church of Christ and the School of Preaching here. The first school outside of the United States was in India back in the 60s. Ed Horton has been there. And others have been there. Truett has been there and is taught in the school that they had there many, many years ago. And out of that, there have just been so many people, so many churches have been planted. There's no way that I'd be able to describe all of that to you without a map and pictures, a lot of investigation into it. But my family and I, after graduating from Sunset, moved to India in 1982. I spent the better part of 16 years in India. I went to South India where there was no church. We planted a church there in the state of Kerala, which, if I had a map up there, would look about the size of your little finger. And Speedy said, what, you had 60 million in the Northeast? We have 60 million in the little tiny state of Kerala, which, about the size of Maine up there or something like that. India has 1.2 billion people, it's estimated, in a landmass that's about 1/3 the size of the United States. That'd be like taking everyone in the United States and move them into Texas, pretty much. And then you would have we'd all be together, and it'd be different. India's just an amazing place, and and you wouldn't have a lot of time to share with you, I wanted to share this picture with you. In the middle, in the white-looking shirt, is Brother P.K. Varghese. He's a graduate of the Madras Teacher Training School. He sat at the feet, I know, of Ed Horton. I'm not sure if Truett or not, and some other teachers that went over. He is sitting there with his wife, his 2 grandchildren. His son is directly behind him in the suit. And his daughter, the 2 girls in the back were also his daughters. And I'm showing you this picture because his son, who is in the jacket in the back there, Josha, I was in India when he was born. I gave him his name. And this is the engagement. He was engaged this past month and will be marrying a lady by the name of Silpa. He's obviously standing beside of her there. You can see her to the right there. Next, show the next picture real quick. The one beside of it, yeah. The picture that's coming up right now they're going to show you. And this is Silpa's family, her mother, her father, and her brother, and then, of course, there's Josha. And so you're looking at Saju. Saju on your right there was one of our first converts in 1982 in India. And he went through our school of preaching that we had in India as one of my great friends. And he is a preacher, and so his daughter is now marrying Josha. They will be married hopefully in January, and they seem to be like so excited about this. Just unbelievable how excited they are. But this is just part of, and I'd like to show a lot more, but this just shows, I think, what every missionary's dream is, to see the fruit that comes so many years later. And this is just one example of that fruit coming so many years later. But just to see there's Saju, I spent so many hours with him on the rooftop of a hotel where we were studying together. We studied. He came, went through our school, graduated. He planted a church in the city of Cochin, and out of there other churches have been planted, and they are now, we've been talking with them past few months, we're trying to get all this worked out, to start then a school of preaching in the state of Kerala for those who are in Kerala. And so Saju already has the building. It's a matter of arranging some other things. And when Gary Walker, one of the elders at Sunset, goes over, they will be discussing and trying to see if we can't get this finalized, hopefully within the next year, let's say. So many good things happen in India, and you could go there. You could go there and, I don't know, maybe you could learn to flip some of those chapatis. I don't know. You could certainly enjoy them. But India is a great place, and I'm sure sometime in the future I'll have a whole chapel to tell you about India.